Hi, everyone. Welcome to Digital Experience Team. This is our iteration retro. Today is Thursday, June 29th. We'll go over some of the things that went well and some things to improve on. First up, for things that went well is Nathan.
Thank you. Yeah, I just want to give a shout out to Megan for kind of initiating that API call and figuring it out with 6 cents and getting the tokens all set up because I pretty much just copied you for buyer experience. But I am excited to start using it, and I am excited to use that confidence field that they give back, which will be pretty cool. We can probably do some logic where it's like, if the confidence is, I don't know, good, do something. But anyway, yeah, pricing page is using it. I think the nav will soon. So it's awesome. Lauren, I don't know if you want to talk as you type.
Yeah, piggybacking on that. Good job, Megan, for finding like an interesting thing we had going on with our nav was loading slower, and it happened to be because of the calls are making demand base. So that's going to increase moving to 6 cents. We'll fix it, but good job diving in and figuring that one out. That is not what I expected. So super cool. I have the next one, and this is over for infrastructure. Just like great job helping us set up for a Fastly to Cloudflare migration. The review apps have been running well, and we actually solved a bug that we found yesterday. And FYI, that is happening July 5th, 0 UTC. That is pretty much when the fireworks are going off for July 4th. So it's a natural code lock. Don't be changing anything. They're changing our CDN. And I think everything will be fine when we come online on July 5th. So pass it over to Laura.
Yeah, just a quick thanks to the team. I was out and when I came back, barely any to-dos or jobs. So that was nice. Thank you, everyone, for the coverage. Mateo.
Yes, I just wanted to mention that we got through all the customer case migrations, at least the ones that have issues created on buyer experience. I think that's awesome. Not all of them are closed, but the ones that are not are all reassigned or have a merge request. So yeah, that's pretty nice. Nathan, I think you have a point there.
Oh, oops, I should have wrote. I don't need to speak, but yeah, it says there's a couple in the sitemap, but I bet you it's just from ones that we haven't gone back and deleted. So I'll be curious to see if there's any left over. But yeah, I don't even know how many that was, like 100. There's a lot of copy pasting.
It was like 77 or 78.
That's a lot of copy pasting, but it's fun. They look a lot better. And at least we can control them better in our experience. Laura, do you want to start on things to improve on?
Sure. Yeah, I'll also say really quickly about the customer migrations that like Chandler and team have been really great about like picking up and content editing themselves. So I've noticed that in the few that I've done. So a nice cross-functional team. But yeah, for things to improve on, while I was gone, like last I heard we were using Butter CMS going forward, and then we made the switch to Contentful. And I just wanted to know like maybe kind of some context around that decision and, you know, like I think we built out a few versions of like trying out each of these CMSs and you know where those decisions were made and in relation to trying all the different versions that we tried. I don't know where that decision was made.
So there's been communicated to some people who've been working a little bit more with this. You're out. I don't know if you're ever coming back, Laura. So I wasn't gonna like, mail you directly. Oh, speaking of, I never use this. I'm going to put this on right now.
We can hear you. I mean, if it's.
I know.
Okay.
I'm going to change my virtual background to Laura's background.
Oh, I see it. It's me.
Never used it the entire time we got. With that said, so yeah, we were going back and forth between Butter CMS and Contentful. And where we ended up is they kind of were neck and neck. And as we were going, as like both feature sets really highlighted each other, and they had some different features between the two. And at the end of the day, when we really dove into like the long-term like features and functionality that we want GitLab to use and the marketing organization to use, Contentful kind of won out if we're just looking at it from a pure DEx engineering standpoint, I think we might have gone with Butter or another option. But things, this is not a DEx tool. This is a marketing organization tool. We had to look at it from that lens, and from that lens, contentful in the features that it has won a little bit. And I think that's the decision towards the last minute really came down to shifting our focus on the marketing organization as a whole versus how digital experience and our engineers could build something out. And that's kind of where that shift came from.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Move on. Who's next? I lost my space. Tiana?
Yeah. So actually, I was thinking about this of like improving some components so we can make them more reusable. Because me and Trevor, we were talking about the page that we just made live, the new getting started videos. And then there was like a card component that I knew that I saw it somewhere, but when I had to browse all our pages, and then I saw some that looked really similar, but were not the same. But like, I know that if I did some updates on the existing components, we could like pass some props, and then it could, look the same. Like change the side of the image, or like the button could receive a text as a property. Because the text, sometimes it's even hard-coded, or the GA text hard-coded. So I noticed that this happens a lot, actually. So I don't think we need to create a new component, but maybe when we notice that a specific component could receive like an update, so we can pass some properties and make it, be useful to a lot of pages, we could do that. And yeah, like Alvise also said, I had to browse a lot of pages to find the components because they are not Flipper components. So maybe a showcase could help too. I don't know if someone wants to talk about it too.
Okay, I'm the next. Yes, we have think about this before, and I'm still thinking that having a components library, like John will say next, like a storybook or maybe a dummy catalog page to check what components do we have already and what we could reuse or just adapt, because there are some, and also we need to start from split the implementation from the component. I think it's not the best idea to put the components in the page that we are using. I believe that the best way to the pattern to follow is the component from what is or what is its purpose. This can be make them more reusable or more generic and prevent redundant code. John?
Yes, to complete what Alvis said, it would be cool to have like a storybook or some visual library that we can see what are the components that are most commonly used in buyer experience, different from sleepers, because in sleepers we have atomic components, but in buyer experience we have more big components. I forgot the word, molecular components. So like having I don't know, headers or footers or things like that visually. So when a developer goes to buyer experience and needs to implement a component, they will go first to this visual component library and then see if that exists and avoid code duplication. I know it's really hard, but if we have time and resources, that would be a good idea.
Yeah, I do agree with that.
I think next one is Miguel.
Yeah. I think it's also related to sleepers. And there's also like a general push to improve page load performance and general performance in the site. So I was wondering if maybe importing specific components to each page could help in improving page load for that page, instead of having like all sleepers component available for everything in the buyer experience. Yeah, it could be. It's a doubt that I had from that recent change we had, where we now have like all sleepers component available in the buyer experience repo. So yeah.
Sorry, I was like typing as you're talking. Yeah, in terms of components, like I'm trying to think. Like I'm looking at like Bootstrap and a lot of those other design systems, and I think for a static site or server-side generated site, I don't know if there's much performance from importing all, because I think either Webpack or Vite is pretty smart. I just don't know about the icons. I really feel like the icons are what's messing us up. And so I'm curious to separate them into its own package so that we have like Slippers components and then Slippers icons. Because I think it's the icons that might be slowing things down because we're importing those icons on like every page. Yeah, it is something we should look into though. I'd be curious to see.
But don't we need the icons on every page?
Yeah, but I'm wondering if we're importing all of them if we don't need them all. Like I don't know if we're doing that kind of tree shaking in buyer experience to not bring the ones we don't need. Because I bet you we only use like 20% of them, or maybe even a bit more, but because we're also using the ones from product. So we probably have like 500 icons.
What if we put the icons in buyer experience? Would that help or make it worse?
The tricky part is we always have the ones from product, which we can't really copy. So we're always going to have to import those, but I do have an issue to look into icon. I just didn't get around to it this iteration, so I can do like a spike and get back to everybody at next retro.
There's
Just
an
use
epic out there.
awesome.
There's an epic out there to improve like the icon library as is, because I know there's a lot of icons that are old branding or that we have and we just have never used, or so there's something out there just to kind of look into which ones we can remove and if we're keeping up to date. That might
Yeah, I know this problem is really bad. I tried using lazy loading in Sleeper side. It's easy to lazy load all these icons, but in buyer experience side, importing them as a separate files, I could not find a solution. If any of the anyone in the team is able to do that, that would be like the big solution in order to improve the icons. But I couldn't do it. So if anyone can, that would they will be my hero.
also, is there a future where the CMS would host icons? I know we talked about maybe logos, but I don't know if icons make sense to live there.
They could, but how we use icons in like that sort of code import fashion isn't as useful. Like there is a better way. Like there's a ton of font libraries out there that We're able to load in thousands of icons, SVGs or font icons, like and more like tree shaking as needed. I think that's really what we need to look at. And I think where Nathan's getting at to like maybe decouple slippers and icons as like two separate packages would also help too, because what we're running into is that like that initial load for that slippers like bundle JS is one of the bigger things that like the DOM loads, and it's dinging us on a lot of page speed scores. So even just separating those into like two separate JS packages would probably actually reduce the load time and increase page scores.
Yeah, there is. You can have separate modules in one repository. Sorry, just saw your comment. As long as it's done cleanly, it's easy. But if it gets messy, then it's kind of complicated to maintain two different packages because if they have different dependencies, but hopefully they'll be the same.
Am I next? Okay, because there is some other improvement that I still want to implement, that is writing off or removing the scope class. We can use the slippers classes as styles, and there are so many. There's been so lots of situations when I just want the style of a header, the style of a body, type tree, default, that stuff. And I can use these classes. I need to import and copy still the CSS because the scope classes. So removing the scope class in slippers enable us in Visual Experience to use freely and prevent to duplicated code. It could be helpful. And about the icons, why do not implement icons like font awesome, like class based in the yes, and CDN downloaded?
Yeah, that might be a good idea, is to move the icons to, like you said, CDN. I'm curious to see if there's like a font awesome view library that we can see and just take a peek at what they do, because I'm sure it's open source.
Having the assets in the CDN and just importing on the go with classes. Instead of having it in the JS package, since the modules from Next.
I wonder if we could load slippers from the CDN. Is that even possible?
You could, it's just a different way to serve the assets. Probably what I'd be more inclined to do is maybe serve styles from the CDN, but the components I would like to keep probably in a node or as an npm package or module, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, and would that even improve our performance or just?
Not so much performance, but I think we've run into issues or when Miracle's doing, for example, the styling the free trial page on in the core repo. It would have been nice if we could have hit or imported like a, I don't know, slipper styles thing, CDN, so that we don't need to bring in all these view components that just an extra import to the whole product, which I highly doubt they would have accepted. But they might include a couple style sheets just for a page.
So what will be the first step to try?
I have a point that I kind of put as not need to vocalize, but I could vocalize is that I have something scoped next iteration for looking at how our Lighthouse CI scores are doing. There's some stuff in there that could be helpful for us to figure out like what's the problem. That's like we have a general we have a performance thing that we probably should fix. It might be easier to target like a solution if we know like what problem we're trying to solve. Because I feel like we could spin our wheels like trying different things. And at least like having some idea of like what we're trying to do might make the solution more clear.
Okay, I try to experiment in this with removing the scope class when no needed and trace and check how it works.
The biggest things that's kind of blocking us is just like we're gonna get a lot of output out of like getting rid of Webpack and getting rid of Nux 2. I know it's not happening soon. Like just for context, I did a spike not too long ago, and Nux 3 is just not ready for us. They don't even have an I18N module. Their content module is barely done. Like there's a bunch of stuff that's just not ready, and so we'd kind of be in trouble. Even their previewer doesn't work properly. But when we do go there, they're saying that it's like, I don't know, 50 to 80% faster. I'm excited to have proper builds. And also it's just the size of our site. Like building if you watch the build go, if you hit urine generate and just watch, like it takes a second, half a second per page, and we're starting to do like hundreds of pages. So it's just like just takes time. We could throw more resources at it. But yeah. But yeah, kind of like how you said there, or actually made me think, even by our experience, like separating things, like when we have the blog, separating maybe the blog into its own build process. So it doesn't have to bring in, when we do by experience, we don't have to bring in the blog. And so stuff like that, release posts. And I'm wondering if there's even a way, like when we start moving content out, like a lot of the translated content will be potentially in the CMS. So there's no content, no assets in the repo. We should build a lot faster. Page load times will be the same probably, but you should be able to go to review app in like 5 minutes.
I guess, should I stop the recording there? We have a couple of action items. Everyone is in my bedroom.
Yeah, we're all hanging out with you, Laura. Kind of creepy, but super cool.
It's a big room. Yeah, me and all my friends. I'm glad you guys participated. So I'll stop the recording. Yeah, into the lore first. Cute. Yeah, thank you for watching, and we will see you next time.